It's Rob pushing me out the way. It's like
touch.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, no, for real, we ready now?
Yeah, you never stop,
You
bro.
dancing, all right.
I could dance.
All right, whatever. So look, season 2, we back with another one. We want to thank all y'all love and support from season 1. We're gonna keep dropping some heat for y'all. Season 2, a lot of gems coming. We got a lot of people to introduce y'all to, so y'all stay locked in. All right, we dropping some heat for y'all.
Season 2 about to be a goodie, y'all. Stay tapped in, stay linked in with us. All right, you already know,
baby. Season 2.
So you know that part where y'all wasn't sure if he was starting or not?
Camera died.
No. I'm keeping it.
Trust is a hard thing to come by these days. You build me up to let me down. Got me spinning around.
Welcome back. It's Linked in Brooklyn. This is season 2.
Oh yeah.
We got a good one for you. But let's introduce you to the original cast that been here working hard, trying to come up with some good stuff for y'all. So y'all remember me, it's your boy E.
I'm Lance.
You already know you here with your boy Nifty, aka Tito, aka Rob, aka if you know, you already know. Here with a nice special guest. Yeah.
We got the man himself, Mr. Dave Simpson. He is a young entrepreneur that started up. Made me nervous. I thought something was happening.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys for allowing me to be here. So, as you mentioned, my name is Dave Simpson, and I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. So I think that makes perfect sense for being able to come here. And I feel excited to be here, I think, because it's not too often that we actually get people from the community who are able to kind of speak about the different things that they're doing. And so earlier this year, I started up a financial empowerment platform called Read and Retire. And I originally started it as a book club for my friends. I started it because I recognized that there's so much information that we can learn through reading. And it's almost like seeing somebody else's journey and learning through other people's mistakes, but without going through any of the costs of actually implementing any of the mistakes that they did previously. And so started off with just a book club, saying, if we can learn from people who came before us how they build wealth, we can take a look at how we can implement different things into our lives to kind of change the paradigm that we see in the community. And along the way, I kind of also started up a podcast as well to kind of add to the different ways that I was speaking about the work that I was doing through the book club, because people wanted to learn a little bit more about everything that was going on from a financial lens. And so it's just been amazing to be able to continue that work. I think it's been a long time coming, just because to take things back a little bit, once I graduated, I went to high school in Bushwick my entire life, Bushwick, Brooklyn. And then when I graduated, I went to school in Boston at Boston College. When I graduated, I actually worked in advertising for a few years, where I helped to kind of make ads for different brands that you use every day, things like Bounty paper towels or Dawn dish soap or Cascade pods, those kind of things. But what I realized was I wasn't really helping anybody else. I was helping this company that was already making billions of dollars just get richer. And so I did what a lot of people probably wouldn't do. And so I quit my job and I ended up working at a nonprofit, which is where I'm at now. And so we organize volunteer events for different companies. the events that we help to organize are in so many different social issue areas. We help people who are experiencing homelessness, people who are experiencing domestic violence, poverty, food insecurity. In addition, we also help people who might not be financially literate. And I think for me, over time, when you work across so many different social issue areas, you cling to one, or you figure out which one you are more passionate about. And for me, that happened to be financial education. And so after working there for about 2 years, I was like, you know what, I want to start helping people from my own community do that work. And so that's kind of how it started.
Fire. So my first question, would you rather be called David or Dave?
Let's go. We can do Dave. We can do Dave.
All right,
Thank you.
Dave,
I
cool.
appreciate it.
Dave. All right, so my first question is, what's the first thing you need to know to become financially free? Like, what's the first thing that step one?
Step one. So I would say, and this is gonna sound a little cheesy, I don't like, sometimes people say mindset, but I would say that in order to be financially free, you have to figure out what freedom means to you. Is freedom being able to spend $40,000 a year, or is freedom being able to spend $400,000 a year? Once you know what that number is, you can kind of work your way back to figure out what you need to do to get there. And so when I think about freedom, it really means being able to control your time, really being able to do whatever you want and know that your finances won't really be affected. The thing is, everybody has a certain lifestyle that they're living. So for the person who spends $200,000 a year, in order for them to gain freedom, aka, get the time back that they need so that they don't have to worry about their finances, they're gonna have to have a larger nest egg. Whereas the person who says, okay, I'm able to live off 60,000, might not need as much as that person. And so you can kind of gain your freedom earlier. But I think the first thing to think about is understanding what freedom means to me. What does my lifestyle look like, and how much money do I need to really be able to move to the beat of my own drum? But then on the same time, recognizing that wealth is measured in time and not dollars. So you start off with this dollar number, right? And you say, this is what I need to get my time back. That's where freedom really is. It's really the time. But you have to start with a number so you have some place to go.
That's crazy.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the dollars part of it,
Don't
right?
let that go. Yo, he just.
I know he
You
just
understood that?
yeah
Nah, that's dope.
yeah for real.
The way you look, the outlook on it is definitely interesting. I gotta start getting into things like
I never heard freedom
'Cause
be
I-
explained like that.
I seen
Yeah,
it.
nah, that's different.
So to be honest, right, I seen it somewhere, and this was like a old Instagram video, and the way somebody broke it down was like, basically the steps to like quitting your job or something like that. And then, to be honest with you, because that was gonna be like one of my follow-up questions, but to be honest, it's like it's not one of those things like you're not taught what to do once you quit your job. Like, how do you continue going? And this person broke it down as far as like you should save up. I mean, at least while you're working, you should work while you're working, save up, I believe, like 3 to 6 months or whatever. After that time, you will quit your job. The whole time that you quit, you saved up enough money to last you the next 3 to 6 months. That whole time that you have off, all you have to do is figure out how to get one more month. Once you figure out how to do that, your hustle is complete right there. Just keep making it happen over and over again. And I was just like, I was in shock by it because, again, you're not really taught what to do when you quit your job. We all like want to quit. We all want financial freedom, but like, the steps of like just going to do it, because people just get up and just, I'm done working. And that ain't really like logical, like, you know what I mean? So
To me, that's kind of like backing yourself into a wall. Like,
but some
if
people
I know,
have to.
I know that if I cut this off, I have to go hard in this one area because I gotta survive. So,
I mean, then again, you gotta. It goes back to his point and what freedom is, because now certain people work better under those type
under pressure,
of pressure.
yeah, under pressure, yeah.
So it's I see it from that aspect, but the way he broke it down, it was dope. That was
And I see it from both. I see it the same way you do. I see it from both. I think inside of all of us, there's a little bit like, let me see what I do when my back is up against the wall. There's a little bit of that. But then what I try to do is I sometimes try to take like the ego out of it. And I follow like, the way I like to think about it sometimes is kind of like planning, strategy, and execution. we all want to get to that point where we can just execute. And that's kind of when like you leave your job, where it's like, as soon as I leave my job, I'm gonna just execute. But while you're working your 9 to 5, that's when the planning needs to be happening. That's when the strategy needs to be happening. You need to be moving. And then as soon as it's like, I'm giving it my 2 weeks, you know, as soon as you're done, you're executing. You don't know, I know so many people that will quit their job and then start planning.
Yeah, that's working backwards. You're right.
Yeah, you got to plan, then you got to strategize, then you got to plan. And then once you got those two down, you ready to go.
Yeah.
I quit. As soon as you quit, you know, this is what I got coming up. So
to take it back to what he was kind of saying, like the saving
I'm
part.
sorry if I threw you off.
What? Nah.
Okay,
what would you recommend be the amount that one should save of their salary?
So I would say,
Could we narrow it down a little bit?
Absolutely.
Let's go from our communities, right? So not speaking for everybody, but like generally speaking, what's a average salary that everybody probably makes? Like 40? Probably say 40, 30, 40, right? That's
How much of that would you recommend
like, so
somebody
if you're getting
save?
a $30,000 salary or $40,000 salary, how would you budget? And what,
Yeah.
like a year or something?
Yeah. So a month by month basis. So like, let's say you're making like $4,000 a month.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
if that messed you up or not. I was just trying to narrow it down.
no, I think that I'll start at the high level and then I'll go narrow too.
Okay.
I think that everybody's situation is different. So I'll start off with that. I know we were just talking a little bit, if you have like responsibilities, if you have kids, those kind of things, it becomes difficult. I think that there's some people who also don't want to necessarily swallow their pride, like, you know, necessarily like moving back in with mom and dad, or, you know, maybe not being able to go on trips or do all of these things and sacrifice. I think at a high level though, I would say people should really try to save, you know, 20% of their income if they can after tax. I use that as a loose rule, but I think that we've been preached too long to save 10% of your income, and 10% has never been enough, and it never will, quite frankly. You know what I mean? If you make if you make $40,000 a year, you're saving 10%. You're only saving, you know, $4,000. So I feel like at a very on a high level, trying to think about saving 20, but we really need to be saving more, and trying not to live beyond outside of our means. I think when it comes to our communities, the thing is, a lot of times we don't make, we already know. I think I saw some stat today that said that you know, when it comes to like getting a job, like if you release a job that requires a 4-year degree, 70% or 80% of Hispanic people are kind of cut out of contention because they don't have that 4-year degree, and about 60% of like black people are. And so I think like our opportunity to get into careers that have a livable wage is hard. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like it's hard to get to be like, I'm in a career where my wage is actually scalable.
Yeah.
By scalable meaning like in 2 to 6 years, I'm going to be making, if I stay here, I'll be making six figures.
Yeah.
Right.
That's difficult. You know what I mean? And so I think that when it comes to the saving part of it, it becomes extremely important because we realize our people are not in careers that have a scalable wage. So you can't spend like somebody who's making that kind of money, because the growth opportunities that you have at your job, it's probably not there. Right. And so I think for those kind of people, what I would say is to start off by having maybe an emergency fund of like maybe $1,000 to $2,000 if you can, or wherever you can start, but an emergency fund where, like, you know, if something quick happens and you need $1,000 or $2,000 of cash, like in an emergency you have it. And then from there, once you have like that emergency fund, then I would start saving what you were saying, where you got those 3 to 6 months of expenses. So in case you get fired or laid off, you know that I can cover my bills for a quarter, maybe 2 quarters. And if something crazy happens, you know, that your car breaks down, I got $1,500 here out of my, you know, out of my
That one been eating me up.
emergency fund.
That car, man. I wish I could give it back.
And then once you have
my
those,
emergency fund.
and then once you have those two things, then I think that's where the kind of, I don't want to say the fun, but that's where the investing, and save, you know, that's where you can kind of start saying, okay, with the money I am saving, where can I put those different things in?
So with that, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Rob. I would say like investing is becoming it's growing so much nowadays. So would you encourage people that don't have it? Or I mean, I feel like we're hearing it so much to just invest, even with as little as we have to just put into investments. Do you believe in that, or you feel like people should plan to save more before they start diving into investments?
Yeah, so I think everyone should have like a base level of savings. I am a big believer in that, like emergency fund and savings, because like you don't want you don't want to invest all your money and an unexpected expense happens and you have to maybe sell off your investments, you want to pay taxes on those on the back end because if you got gains on them. So I think having those things in place, like, okay, well, let's say your expenses are $2,000 a month, having 3 months of that, so you have maybe $6,000 in a savings account, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 in a checking account if you're like a working person making that $40,000 to $50,000 like we said. And then from there, I really do think you should invest your money. I think and I think that the thing that a lot of people think is like I'm not investing much, right? Like I'm investing $100 here, $150 here. The thing is, as anything, consistency will help you to win over time. If you invest $100 every month into, an investment vehicle, we could talk about, different things, but, you could pick any stock. I'm just going to pick Apple just as an example. But 20 years ago, if you invested $100 a month into Apple stock, every month for 20 years, you'd be shocked at how much money you would have now, just because the way compound interest works is basically like your money is growing on top of the growth that it already has. So if I had put $100 in at the end of year one, let's say it grew 10%, I have 110, right? That 100 is now 110. However, you were putting in $100 each month. So let's say you put in 1,200, you would have an extra 120. And so that means now I have 1,320. The next year, let's say you gain 10%, but you're not starting at zero, you're starting off of that 1,320. That your gains, that extra 120 is building you more. So I would say that it's important to invest. And I think that the big thing for our communities is we got to be educated about it, because the stock market is like the boogeyman for us. You know what I mean?
It was.
Yeah.
A lot of people getting into it now, or trying to get into it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I think what it is like people have made the stock market seem more complex than it is.
Definitely.
And so, like, if you do something as simple, like, for example, like an index fund, I feel like that's a buzzword everyone throws around.
Yeah.
But as an example, an index fund is essentially, it's a basket of different stocks, essentially, that kind of form one unit. And so, essentially, this one single asset is comprised of almost every company in an index. And an index is just a metric. So if you think about a metric of performance, and so if you think about the S&P 500, that's just the top 500 companies. If you think about the Russell 2000, it's just the 2,000 best companies. People use those indexes as a gauge of the market. So somebody will say, these 500 companies are doing well, so our economy is going up. These 2,000 companies are not, so it's not doing as well. And so what we see is if you invest in those index funds, what you're doing is you're spreading your risk across, because they're a compilation of all the best companies. And a fund is basically, it takes everyone's money and it invests in all those companies, but you're buying it as a single asset. I think in normal terms, I would look at it as saying like, imagine you got to invest in the NBA, but you got to put your money into every team. I could put my money on the Lakers, right? That's a stock. I could say the Lakers are winning the chip. But if I say somebody in the NBA is going to win, you had your bet. The gains might not be as big, right? Especially if the Lakers do win the chip, right? The person who invested in the Lakers, they're going to do a lot better than me.
Right.
But if I invest in everybody, and I can do that consistently, like over time, you'll make money.
Man,
So.
just imagine. Just imagine. But that's a natural cutoff point right there. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back to you with more with Dave, all right?
Welcome back. You're here with your boy Nifty in LinkedIn, Brooklyn, your host. You know what I'm saying? We're here with Dave Simpson. Let's take it back a little bit. Dave, what was your vision for Read and Retire? Like, and when I say vision, I don't mean like where you're going right now. I mean like what gave you the words Read and Retire? What inspired that?
Yeah, I think, well, so my parents are immigrants from Jamaica, and they came to the U.S. in like the early 90s. And we lived in, and they never went to college. So my dad went to trade school, and he was a tailor by trade. And I think growing up, my parents also had 5 kids, and we lived in an apartment, which we still live at now. And I think just growing up, it's kind of like you see everyone around you, because the way, New York City works is you tend to go to school with people who are in the same neighborhood as you, even though you can go to school in any different borough. And so I think that growing up, I just saw so many people that were struggling financially. But I think for me at the time, it's kind of like everybody was going through the same struggle. So it didn't feel as difficult, because if you're like, okay, I didn't really have it, but my classmates didn't really have it either. And then as I started to get older, like I said, going to Boston College, like I said, it's a predominantly white institution, maybe 4% black, like 70% white. You see so many people from so many different walks of life. People start to expose you to things that you never even knew. Now, like, you're being invited to go to the Jersey Shore on the weekends. You're being invited to go to Cape Cod. Like, you know what I mean? You have an opportunity to study abroad. You go to Europe for the first time. You start experiencing all of these other things. Through the grace of God, I was able to experience some of those things and be able to meet some different people. But what you realize is like you get to expand. And I don't want to use this term because I think in 2021, like people have been running with it, like an abundance mindset. But I think that what you can envision for yourself starts to change. And I think that because of that, I was kind of like, man, I can go so many different places. But where it's going to start is it's going to start with the resources that you have and how you can actually use those to be fruitful, not only to yourself, but people around you. And so from there, I started to really double down on my education in the space, because I realized that I don't know as much as I did. Like, I was like, how am I starting a job at 21 and I don't know what a 401k is? I don't know what IRA is, or I don't know any of these synonyms or like these words that people are using or these acronyms that people are using. And so from there, that's kind of where my passion for it started. And I think over time, realizing how little people in my family knew. And just also, I think when it came to the future proofing, when you think about things like, retirement, when I look at my parents, that's something that is probably non-existent at the moment. And so you kind of take it a little bit upon yourself to hedge the education that you need to have. And of course, you're grateful for everything your parents did, because they sacrificed so that you could have an opportunity to be able to learn those things. But I think it's my responsibility to be able to bring that education to them and to try and lift them up where I can. And so I think that realizing that a lot of it starts with the economics and the financials is what spurred me to be interested in it, for not only myself, but my family.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, so with you bringing up a certain point that you did with you seeing your classmates and things like that going through the same struggle as you, I had a similar experience, but I think I got the best of both worlds, right? So I went to Fort Hamilton. Shout out Fort Hamilton Tigers, you know what I'm saying? Champions 2011. Yeah. But nah, I was there, and it was like a mixture of culture as far as like from Middle Eastern, Caucasian, then you had like a little bit of black, a little bit of Spanish, or Hispanic, Latinx, excuse me. Don't want to be disrespectful. But yeah, Latinx. And it was just a whole plethora of different diversities and demographics, right? So I seen that part and it was attractive, but again, when you look up, you 18 to 21 and you don't know these terms. So I was in that space, and I feel like a lot of athletes are in that space if you aren't into learning or into business or things like that, because all you're focused on is that, and the goal is sports. But in the end all be all, you need something to fall back on, and I appreciate all of the people, all of my mentors that pounded that into me. Pause. the information that is just like, bro, you're bigger than football. Football you're good at, but you need to find something else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you guys. Definitely appreciate you.
No, I think that that's huge because I was talking about this with my family too. But you know how like the NCAA kind of allowed people to have like endorsements now, like you can make money as a college athlete or, you know, and I started to think, I was like, man, if people in college are making money, the first thing that these training staffs need to invest in is a person to teach people how to manage their money. I can't imagine a person being like, oh, even if you're on a small scale, like a local organization or a local bakery or something giving you 10,000, 20,000, it's like they need those resources because like what you said, right now they just focused on, you know, the money and the sport, and it's like you need to learn how to use it and how to grow whatever it is that you're trying to do. So I hear you, man.
Because to piggyback off what you're saying, like you give kids money, kids are just gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna buy sneakers. If it's enough to buy a car, they might get a car, clothes, jewelry, tattoos. It's gonna be crazy.
If anything, show you that it was the pandemic showed you.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah.
That money
you was giving adults money. And
that money dried up like real quick, like surprisingly, like it's so crazy, man. It's real. I definitely. Nah, you can finish because I'm about to bring up another topic.
Nah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I definitely wanted to ask, how do you plan to target younger generations to educate them with financial literacy, other than your podcast, if that was the only? Because I really want to, and this is like speaking personally, because I have people around me that's like, to be like quite frank, like it's so many people, and I'm pretty sure y'all got people that, because we kind of got into the podcast thing of just trying to learn more about financial literacy, but everybody technically don't want to watch a podcast. So, you know, I got people around me that I really want them to like really just pay attention and try to get this knowledge any way they can. So, any other ways you can educate people?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things that I've been working on for myself. I think there's a lot of people I look up to in the space. And I think one of the biggest things that the pandemic has kind of forced people to do is move digitally. But for me, I feel like I have to be in the streets. I have to be in the community. I have to meet people where they're at. Like it's cool to talk to people through a screen. It's cool to talk to people through a mic. But if you're not in the project community centers, if you're not in the Salvation Armies, if you're not in the classrooms, it's going to be hard for kids to be able to connect with you. And I feel like that's what sometimes is missing. It's like, what are you actually doing for the community? How, like, if a kid is starving because they don't have food, it's going to be hard for them to like listen to what you might be saying, you know, digitally. It might be hard to focus in school. But if you're able to meet people where they're at, figure out what it is that they need, what's valuable for them, and not just assume, right? Like I'm talking about speaking to the educators, speaking to the people, saying, what resources do you need so that we can make sure that this education gets to the students in the most effective way? What does effective look like? Because I think that we've seen a few good models of it, a few good, like, you know, podcasts, you know, groups and people who are into it. But what happens is I feel like a lot of times you end up talking to yourself. You talk to people who are already interested in that stuff, right? The reason I'm following your page on, you know, social media is because I'm interested in what you have to say. You already got me, right? I need to talk to the kid that's 15 and isn't even thinking about this stuff yet, right? Who's 14. So you got to go to where they're at. So
like that.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Only reason I say that, when you say that, I automatically thought of like a monument, right? And I want to say, what is it, Tennessee or where is Dr. King?
Oh, that's DC.
DC. Not the monument.
Not the memorial.
Where he got shot, and it's like a whole museum. I forgot. I believe it's in Tennessee.
Mississippi?
Nah, it's in Tennessee, I believe. I don't know.
Nah.
I'll check.
Memphis,
Tennessee. Yeah, Memphis, right?
Yeah.
All right, so with that being said, right, it's a lot of people that go there, and they go there to experience like what it was like to walk the same halls as Dr. King. Of course, that man ain't been in there in however long, but it's just you in there, and it's greatness connected to it. So now you feel like you're a part of that when you go, right? It make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense? So I mean, it makes sense. I mean, same thing. I feel like the same thing with the Hall of Fame. You go to the Hall of Fame, you be like, oh, I touched the same ball that he touched. Like same thing.
It's just getting the experience.
Yeah.
You get the experience, and you get to like actually lay your eyes on certain things that you didn't think you would ever lay your eyes on because you always see it. So
Yeah, I mean, and it's energy too. You gotta
Yeah.
transfer energy.
Yep.
Energy is a real thing. I don't know if you're big into that.
Yeah.
I believe energy, good energy, it feeds off. You know what I'm saying? Bad energy is negative, but it is what it is. Like you gonna have the good with the bad. You gotta take the good with the bad.
Yeah, and another thing to go off your point with that, not only is the energy important, but the way you display the information, you have to try to do it in a way that kids understand. That's why earlier.
gravitate to it, yep.
That's why earlier when I was like, okay, let me think about doing this in terms of the NBA. It's like some kid might be like, okay, that makes sense now. You know what I mean? Or if you do it in terms of rappers, like you can invest in Drake or you can invest in all of Young Money, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like so people can think about things in different ways.
Bar.
So I think that the relevancy is huge. That's something that's missing. Like kids don't see how it's relevant to them. Financial education, like they don't connect the dots. You know,
Wow.
With this, I feel like with this generation, and I don't mean to sound like I'm super old, but the younger generation,
Getting up there.
chill. The younger generation, the biggest question is asked is why. Why I have to do something? What is it beneficial for? Like things like in that nature, so they could get more information. What they do with that information, it's up to them. But definitely why and what.
Because I think it's because it has to make sense to them. So I was watching something the other day that said that generationally, this is like one of the best generations to live in because you can't just put the blinders over their eyes and they're not going to ask questions. They're going to ask questions because they want to know how is this going to benefit me, like you said. Back in the day, they were like, okay, here's $5 and this is all you're going to make. Okay, cool. I'm going to get it because this is all I can
You
accept
just
at the time.
brought up the question.
So now you get to
Bring it up.
you get to like our parents, you know, they did what they did. They
worked at the same place.
yeah,
for
they
30
worked all right.
years.
They worked
Yeah.
the same place 30 years.
If you look at that situation,
They say it to us though. You don't have like I've heard this like straight from a parent. Y'all don't have that grinded out mentality like stay down
Right.
till you come up like type of situation like. And
But
it's-
it's a lot. It's a
it's
lot.
like-
But it's a lot of like work. I don't like the term work-life balance because work is a part of your life. So there's a lot of life balance that they don't just get. They don't get it. So we live in a generation now where
we expect to live.
right we expect to do exactly what they did.
but I don't think it's bad. Only reason I say this is because when you get into it, you're a father, right? I'm a father, right? We're doing this so we can be informed, so we can inform the younger generation, so they can then inform our kids. That's what we're essentially doing, right? Of course, we're not going to lose the knowledge as we go, but now, right? You're asking someone, right? Let's. I'm not saying everybody's from down south, but most of the people that's black, they came up north, right? So they from down south, right? So with that being said, you asking somebody from down south that just got segregated classrooms or something like that, or wasn't even segregated at the time, you know what I'm saying? Getting secondhand knowledge, and you're asking them to inform our parents to inform us. That's what we essentially doing, you know what I'm saying? So that's a hard ask. So it had to start somewhere. I'm glad it's starting here. We would all love for it to start back then, but now is the time. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's the time. Reason I say that is because this generation, autonomy is a big thing. Autonomy, freedom with your time. You know what I'm saying?
So
And they're all about what you can do for me now, like not what you did for me. Like what can you do for me
But
right now today?
It's not bad. I don't think we were saying the same thing. We was like, yo, I know I just got some Jordans, but I want the game too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I want that
the
Dreamcast.
I want the P2, I want the Dreamcast, all that. You know what I'm saying? We was like, we want it now, but we had the Southern way of bringing it up where grown folks talking, you shut up. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. You don't ask why. You just, you know what I mean,
just
follow
do it.
suit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not wrong or right. It's just the way that we brought up. Now, it's all open. Floodgates is open. You know
So
what
I
I'm saying?
definitely like just to bring it back to like the being heard, that we don't have that grinded out mentality because we come and go and we do like a bunch of other stuff. So we kind of like in a, what would you call it? The Great Resignation.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And it's like so many people quitting, and they only call it that because the numbers are so high for people that quit their jobs. Like,
Bro.
it's at the highest it's ever been.
The shortages
as far
in
as
the
like
city?
even turnover numbers, like people coming and going, and I think like over 4 million people, but the number keeps jumping, and it could be like from a monthly rate to the last 2 years. It's like ridiculous, but only like a third of that portion, that percentage or whatever, it decided to start their own business. And I really wanted you to give some advice to how important it is to fund up your business, because I feel like, again, like I was talking about earlier, people will just quit and they will just like as you were saying, just execute. And you didn't even prepare for none of that. But like, again, they took advantage of that pandemic money, and now like, you know what I mean? So I just wanted you to give some advice to keep people like locked in as far as like you need money to fund your dream. I do hear it often that, you know, start today, start today. But I feel like people kind of skip over that part that, you know, you do need to prepare for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think there's like two sides of the coin. I hear one on one end, what you're saying, where sometimes people are so scared to execute.
Yeah.
They have like analysis paralysis. They keep going over the numbers. They keep looking at this. They get frozen up to take action. And so sometimes, boy, like you're just gonna have to step out on faith sometimes. Like that's what it is. However, on the flip side, I feel like I'm still a big proponent on planning. And strategy before the execution. And when it comes to the planning step, I feel like everyone has a lot of good business ideas. A lot of people, and like to me, there's nothing new under the sun. Like there's something we were just talking about earlier, how many different clothing brands there are. Everybody's is different though. I think you need a plan for it. What I do, I think it's always a good working exercise to me, is to actually do a business plan for the business that you're trying to create. Like start from the bottom. Like when you you can think about how to actually create a business plan. I could give people kind of like the general things that they could focus on, but one is like think about just first of all, like what is the job to be done? Like what are you trying to do? Why would somebody hire your company or your business? Next, you could take a look at like the industry. Like, what industry am I operating in? Who am I trying to target? What's my target market? How am I going to segment the people who I'm trying to target? If I have a clothing brand, like, am I going to try and target people demographically? Take a look at gender, race, income. Am I going to try and target people geographically? Am I going to work in the New York City area? I'm going to work in Chicago. Am I going to try and target people psychographically? Am I going to look at their behaviors, think about things that they enjoy? Am I doing a fitness brand, right? Like, do I need to go hop over to really be in Equinox or those kind of places? That's just the industry. And then you have the competitors. Who else is a competitor in my space? If I'm designing a fitness apparel brand, what do my competitors look like? And in addition to the competitors, sometimes people forget about the alternatives. An alternative is just as good as viable as a competitor. A competitor says, like, we're operating in the same space. An alternative says, instead of buying your product, I might just buy some shorts, or I might just wear something else that can still allow me to work out but not buy your product. Or I might just get a Peloton and work out at home. Why do I need to buy your fitness apparel if I'm not even pulling up to the gym? So you got to look at that. And then I would say, like, the final few pieces is just like things like market generation, like how am I going to build demand? But I say all that to say, when it comes to actually building a business, if you go through that working exercise of what's my job to be done, what industry am I in, who am I trying to target, what are my competitors, what are my alternatives, how am I going to build demand, that working exercise just helps you to get so much further ahead. So,
all right. Well, listen, it's another talking break. We'll be back after this quick break. See you soon.
It's Linked in Brooklyn. We back with Dave Simpson dropping some knowledge on us. I believe Rob had a question to ask.
Yeah. All right. So, what advice would you give someone that's trying to start up a second or third stream of income?
I think my biggest piece of advice to somebody who's trying to get an additional income stream, I heard this from somebody one time, but they said your wealth is baked into your daily routine. And so you have to take a look at the things that you're already doing that bring you joy, that you're already doing in your daily routine. When you identify what those things are that you intrinsically love, then you can think about ways that you might be able to monetize some of those passion points that you have in your life. Otherwise, I think if you try and force a second or like a side business or a side hustle, it's only a matter of time before it'll fizzle out because you won't have the determination and the dedication to stand through the tough times. But if it's something that's baked into your daily routine, if I was going to do this anyway, hey, this is who I am. And so
Wow.
I kind of feel like that's how you're going to figure out what's going to build you wealth.
Yeah,
That goes back to what I was saying about barbering and me not having a passion for it. I think you should. That's a craft that you should love to do because if you don't love it, you're not gonna have the patience to want to sit there and really perfect your craft. You're just gonna do it to get the money, and that's gonna be it. You're gonna do it to get by. You're gonna get somebody a 5-minute haircut. The hairline gonna be up here. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
I was interested in it, but getting to the what was we talking about? Enhancement parts when the extraness to it. It'd be like, cause I of course I definitely want to like learn, but just learning about this the enhancement parts and stuff, it'd be like blowing my mind that now that I know what it is, somebody could walk out and hold this ain't even real. Like ain't it? It's shocked. Like what is it called? Like man weave now. That jank was just.
That's different.
I
ain't covered the
you never heard of one of those?
No, I seen it.
Oh, that
I
jank
ain't
crazy.
come in
Like
contact with one of them things. You know what I'm saying?
All right, to branch off a little bit, right? With mental health day just passing, or was it week? I know it was
mental health day.
Yeah, okay. So with mental health passing, right? I seen on your IG page that there was a discussion about therapy. So can you give us your thoughts on how important it is, like for you to? Let me reword the question. Can you give us your thoughts on how therapy is important for success?
Yeah, I think everybody needs an objective person or force in their life that they can go to if they have like any issues. I think that sometimes that comes in the form of like a therapist, but people get therapy in so many different ways. Like there's so many different things that people do. Some people work out, some people read, some people take walks, they go on hikes. When it comes to therapy, I think it's especially important because I feel like there's a stigma around it that's kind of negative, especially in the Black community, because we've kind of been taught, we've kind of been raised to kind of be a man. You know what I mean? Like men don't cry. Men are tough. Like all of these things, and it's kind of like sometimes it's like getting help with your mental situation. Your mental is what's going to drive you. Right. If your mental is not good, nothing will be good. Your relationship won't be good. Right. Your spirituality won't be good. Your finances won't be good. It all starts from like in here. And so I think that when it comes to like the mental aspect of things, I think a lot of it is related to the financial burden that we see with people, because you realize that when your mental is not right, you start doing things with your money to cope with that. Mm-hmm. Some of it is negative. We've seen in the community with things like alcoholism, drug abuse, those kind of things are negative. But then you see people use their money to try and compensate for their lack in other areas. You're buying designer, all of these things that you can't afford, to try and put on a facade of a person that you think people will value when they don't really value those kind of things. And so I think it's kind of always important. And I think that it's often something that's underlooked. And the final thing that I'll say about it too is saving. You should never save money at the cost of your mental health. And I think that was an important thing from the episode, because you realize that sometimes people will try and live at home or try and do all these things to save money, but it's actually hurting them in the long run. So you got to do that cost benefit.
Yeah, that was
analysis too.
I just told somebody that too. You gotta get up out of there sometime. Like.
All right, so Dave, with that being said, we're gonna be ending soon. So is there anything that you want our audience to know? You have anything pending? You have anything coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm definitely going to be launching some programs in the Brooklyn community in the coming year. I'm really hoping to engage our full network. Like I said, we work with, we have schools, we have community centers, we have nonprofits in the community, but we also have companies, we have corporations, and we have the government agencies, right, as well. And so I'm working on some programs where we can kind of bring everybody together to really help to impact people. And so I'm excited for that. And of course, if anybody, is interested in getting in touch with me, I'm at Read and Retire on Instagram. But I think overall, man, I'm happy to be in the space. Like, you guys created this platform to allow people who come from backgrounds like us to be able to talk about it. So,
Definitely.
I'm just grateful for you guys for giving me the opportunity and the time and for building the connection and the outreach, because, love is love. And so it doesn't matter where, you come from. We just all happen to come from Brooklyn, but we're all black at the end of the day. So we all should stick together. So.
Hey, Dave, listen, I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you for tapping in with us. This was definitely one of the deeper episodes. It was super solid. I feel like it's a lot of gems that have been dropped. I'm about to go back and watch this once he's done with this editing.
Yeah, this is a great way to bring in season 2.
Facts. Listen.
Great way.
Oh, yeah.
Great way to bring in season 2.
You know what I'm saying? But you already know you here with your boy Nifty, a.k.a. Rob, a.k.a. Tito, a.k.a. if you know, you already know, a.k.a. Alua Shalom. I'm here with my brothers.
You're going to bring this back again. All right, we're here with Lance.
This is Eric, and we have Mr. Dave Simpson.
Yo, appreciate you, man.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Appreciate you,
Thank you,
guy.
man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for the platform, brothers. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's LinkedIn Brooklyn. Yeah.
One, camera 2, give me a slate. Ditch it. E, it's on you.
Welcome back to LinkedIn Brooklyn. It's your boy E. I'm here with my brothers.
It's Lance.
Why you just pause like that, weirdo?
Cause it was the camera. It was the camera. He has
Restart.
I'm trying to let him
Restart. That was me. I messed you up. I'm sorry. Restart.
I might just keep that in the episode. Restart.
Nah.
Camera 1.
Get it over, bro.
Camera 2.
Enthusiastic, man.
You missed his job.
I did miss my job.
Actually, I want to give it back to Eric. Apparently, I'm always breaking shit around here, so.
A young entrepreneur that started up a financial empowerment organization to empower just minorities in New York State to, to prepare them from early financial freedom. Excuse me. And, oh man, I'm sorry. Yeah, start over.
Yeah.
That stuff went through my mind just now, like.
Yeah, I'm about to say that.
I didn't.
Or just.
That's a cut.
Yo, bro, listen, bro, you fucked me up. Like, my head is like spinning right now. I'm about to.
Alright, just LinkedIn Brooklyn. We back with season 2. Thanks for all the love and support from season 1.
Y'all.
We here with another season for y'all, so we want y'all to stay tuned, locked in, and we're gonna keep dropping that heat for y'all.
Listen, we got some goodies coming for you this season. Season 2 gonna be real.
It's warming up.
It's
warming up.
Listen, it's gonna be great. Stay linked in, stay tapped in with us, and we're gonna get this right to you.
Alright, that was really good. Only thing is, where are you looking?
Oh man.
I was looking at the camera.
Where?
I'm gonna say like the thing sticking out.
You're looking at this? You need to look here.
Why the fuck?
I mean, like it's in that direction, so.
It looks different.
Oh,
I'll play it back and you'll see. It looks different.
This.
No, I don't want to cut it. I'll show you after. Just trust me. But I'll show you.
The whole time?
The whole time. Yes. Alright, so
dead eye.
in the eye. Y'all ready?
You should do it this time, cause
No, do the same thing.
I wasn't.
No,
You forgot everything he said.
let's do it.
Bro, he just came in and said, yo, he took over. I was dancing. I was like, oh, I'm about to.
Go ahead, do your thing. Do your thing. Do your thing.
I like that, bro. Go ahead, do it. Yeah,
E,
it was actually nice.
Just be careful. You keep moving in and out. So
I
if
just
you go,
want
if
you
you
to
gonna
go
move,
ahead because you don't got this.
if you gonna move back and forth, but don't move in.
It's Raw pushing me out the way.
Man, touch it.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, no, for real, we ready now?
Yeah, never stop,
You
bro.
dancing. All right.